Thank you for joining us for today's session, CSIT Research and Development R&D Voucher Programs. I'm Judith Sheft, the Executive Director of the New Jersey Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology, also known as CSIT. So before we get started, please be aware that we're going to have time at the end of the session for Q&A. So if you have questions, it's easiest for us if you put them in the Q&A area down at the bottom of your screen, as opposed to posting them in the chat section. It's just going to be easier for us to be able to address questions that you may have. We'll write them down. We'll get back to you at the end of the session. On this program is the New Jersey Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology's Research and Development Voucher Program. There's two voucher programs that we're going to be discussing: the CleanTech R&D Voucher Program, as well as the Catalyst R&D Voucher Program. The next slide talks about the summary of the program and the program objectives. The program is designed to help early-stage innovation-based companies accelerate their development and innovation of technologies to help them transform their discoveries from research into commercially viable products and technologies, hopefully leading to industry and investor interest. We know that for small companies, getting access to specialized equipment may be a gating point in their development activities. And so the objective of the program is to improve awareness, access to, and utilization of world-class equipment at New Jersey's universities, facilities, maker spaces, and federal labs, and provide a subsidy to access those equipment, facilities, and maker spaces for companies that are developing innovative technologies. Now, as I mentioned, this program has really two portions of the program. We have a CleanTech R&D Voucher Program and a Catalyst R&D Voucher Program. The CleanTech R&D Voucher Program, you can be working in products and technologies in a number of different areas listed on the left-hand side of the screen. And we want to be sure that your product or technology that you're working on is something that is going to reduce or mitigate greenhouse gas emissions. But you can be working on advanced materials, energy distribution and storage, energy efficiency, energy generation, green buildings technology, transportation, waste processing, water, and agriculture. The main point, because this program on the CleanTech R&D voucher side is supported with funding from the Board of Public Utilities, is that your project is something that is going to reduce or mitigate greenhouse gas emissions. The Catalyst R&D voucher program is for everything else. As long as you're working on some sort of innovative product or technology, there you need to get access to specialized equipment or facilities, you can access the Catalyst R&D voucher program. And so you'll again see on the right-hand side of the slide the types of projects that you can be working on: advanced manufacturing, transportation logistics, film and digital media, life sciences, non-retail food and beverage, professional and financial services, or just straight technology. So it's almost as if we've got a clean tech and sort of a non-clean tech or Catalyst R&D voucher program. To help you get awareness of the kinds of facilities that we have around the state of New Jersey for you to access, CSIT has developed a New Jersey asset map that lists out various academic facilities at two-year colleges, four-year universities, as well as some potential non-academic core labs that you may be able to access. The non-core labs that may be participating in the program are Princeton Plasma Physics Lab, Hackensack Meridian Health, Cornell Life Sciences, the Federal U.S. Army at Picatinny, the Joint Base at McGuire-Dix Lakehurst, and the FAA technical facilities, so that you'll be able to take a look at and see, are these facilities have capabilities that can help me with my R&D activity. So now let's get into a little bit of detail about what the program is all about. The program budget on the CleanTech side, Mahako I'm sorry, Fatou Jobe will tell you a little bit about the CleanTech R&D Voucher Program.
Thank you, Judith. As Judith mentioned, the CleanTech Voucher Program is funded from the Board of Public Utilities. For round 2, this is the second round that we're launching of the program. Round 2 program budget, we have a budget of $375,000. So in essence, we're looking to make up to 15 voucher awards or more. So the voucher amounts in any given 12-month period, an applicant can apply for multiple vouchers, anywhere from $1,000 up to a cap of $25,000 within a 12-month period. Or the applicant can decide to just at first use up the whole $25,000 at a facility, or you can choose to divide it up between 2 facilities. But within any 12-month period, any applicant, a single EIN, can apply up to a maximum of 12-month period of $25,000 in a 12-month period. Judith will go through the application process in subsequent slides, and Mahako will give a demonstration of the application portal. But pretty much it's a 2-part application. And at the point that the applicant has received an approval letter from the facility and CSIT has provided a submission code to the applicant will have 6 weeks to complete their application, to complete the second part of the application, submit all their documents. If the application is not submitted within the 6 weeks periods, the voucher funds that were reserved for that application will be put back into the program budget. This is a first come, first serve program. We have a pool of funds, and as applicants come in, until the funds are exhausted, we will be accepting applications. So to make sure we're not tying down any funds, once CSIT issues a submission code, any applicant has 6 weeks to complete the application. Once a voucher is approved for an applicant, the vouchers are valid for a period of 6 months. At which time the work must be completed at the facility. Let's say at the end of the 6 months, there's still some work pending and an extension is needed. The applicant should contact CSIT and request an extension. CSIT at its discretion can issue a one-time no-cost extension. We cannot issue more than 1 extensions, and we will review each extension request on case-by-case basis. Any vouchers that are not used, let's say once a voucher is approved, the applicant is issued the vouchers, the funds are reserved at CSIT. If at the end of the 6 months, the vouchers are not used at the facility for whatever reason, the voucher funds will be canceled and returned back to the program budget. Now the applicant can apply again if they want to. What are the eligible uses for the voucher? As Judith mentioned, we have great facilities and capabilities at our leading universities and federal labs. So applicants can use the vouchers to access the facility equipment and technicians for any testing and development that they need for the innovation. So let's say you need to use a facility at the NJEDA Center, York Center, we can reimburse NJEDA for that. Or also training in preparation for independent use. Let's say the applicant wants to get trained at the facility so that he can independently use the equipment. If there is a charge for that, the vouchers can be used to cover those types of eligible uses. Ineligible uses of the voucher includes any manufacturing of product for sale or commercial uses. As the name states, the voucher programs are intended for research and development, and we're intending the funds to be used for exactly that. So the voucher funds cannot be used to produce something that's intended for commercial use, or to cover rental expenses. Let's say an applicant is housed at a certain facility, the voucher funds cannot be used to cover rent. As mentioned, the applications will be reviewed on a rolling basis, and we will be accepting applications on a rolling basis as soon as the program opens. And then we will reserve funds, and we'll be reserving funds as we go until the program funds run out. So for the CleanTech Voucher Program, we have a technology readiness calculator that we use to gauge what level of technology readiness an applicant is. So the voucher program is accepting applications anywhere from TRL level 1, which is basic research, all the way to TRL 7 when you have a pilot system demonstrated. So that is a quick overview of the voucher program. So next will be Mahako presenting on the catalyst.
Thanks, Fatou. So as Judith mentioned, for those that are testing all other technologies really in the STEM area, sector areas, not including clean tech, they should apply for the Catalyst R&D voucher program. So again, these are projects in advanced manufacturing, advanced transportation and logistics, film and digital media, life sciences, non-retail food and beverage, professional and financial services, and technology. They are all eligible to apply for the Catalyst voucher program. As mentioned, the voucher awards can be used to subsidize the cost of these utilizing the core lab facilities, equipment, maker spaces, and tech centers. You can use the use of facility equipment and technicians for testing, and development. And, lastly, training in preparation for independent use of facility equipment. CSIT has a budget of $275,000 and aims to award roughly 11 grants for the Catalyst voucher program. For vouchers can be requested from $1,000 upwards to $25,000, and more grants can be awarded based on the voucher amount that is requested. A company can apply for multiple vouchers up to a cap of $25,000 over any 12-month period, and the projects can last for that 12-month period. Vouchers for the Catalyst program cannot be used again for manufacturing and products for sales or commercial use. Vouchers cannot be used for real estate rental expenses. And in terms of the Catalyst program, vouchers cannot be used for patient or clinical trial expenses. So we focus again, as Fatou mentioned, predominantly on just research and development. Lastly, the applications will be, again, as Fatou mentioned, reviewed on a rolling basis until the funds run out for the voucher program. So I will send it back over to Judith to now talk about the application review and approval process and the eligibility requirements.
Thank you. We're going to now go over what you have to do to apply for this program. I did see that there was one question asking, hey, if I've applied for other CSIT programs, can you transfer my records over to this program? And the answer is you're going to have to reapply, unfortunately, because we need to keep the records straight. So you're going to go on, and after this short discussion, we're going to show you what the application portal looks like. But as the first step, you're going to go onto the application portal. You're going to provide some information about yourself as an applicant and the project that you're looking to do. You're going to answer some questions about eligibility, and and that information will then get sent to CSIT. In step 2 at CSIT, we will review your application and we will discuss it with a committee that we have made up of representatives from the various academic and non-academic core labs to take a look at the projects to see who is best able to serve the need of the applicant. Now, in some instances, an applicant may know specifically which company, which lab facility they're interested in working in. So as an example, a company might put in an application and indicate that, yes, I'd like to work at Rutgers University, and this is a specific lab at Rutgers that I'd like to work on. In other instances, we may have a situation where a company might know about the kind of need that they have, but they aren't sure specifically which university or which federal lab may have the capabilities to support their requirements. And so we get together every other week with our university and federal lab partners to determine who we think has got the best capabilities to work with that applicant. The facility review committee, as I said, will look at the information in your application and determine who is best able to work with the applicant. So please, in your application, try to be as precise as possible about the type of support that you are interested in. In the next step, step 4, the facility will reach out to the applicant to have a conversation about the scope of the project that needs to be done, and the applicant and the facility will essentially negotiate the scope of work. They will address any intellectual property issues that may result as a result of using the facilities. They will figure out what the project timing is going to be, what the costs are going to be, and the facility will then issue an approval letter to the applicant indicating that they're able to do this scope of work, and this is the total amount of the project cost. Once the applicant has that letter from the core facility, they will email back, they will email that information to CSIT and ask for a submission code so that they can complete the rest of the online application. Once you have been given your submission code, you have a 6-week window to finish completing your application, because we want to be sure that you're going to be going ahead with the project and you're not just holding up the money, and if you're not needing it, that money can then be released for others to make use of. We'll complete the application. You'll submit some additional required documentation around with the eligibility activities. CSIT will then review your complete application package in step 5 and 6. We'll review everything for completeness, making sure that you have all of the necessary documentation. We will then issue you a voucher agreement, which will be executed between CSIT and the applicant for whether it's 6-month period of time on the CleanTech program or a 12-month period of time on the Catalyst program. And you do potentially have an option for a one-time 3-month no-cost extension. When your project is completed, you will provide some documentation back to CSIT around the completion of your project activities, detailing the scope of work, and then we will provide the funding to you to reimburse you for those expenses. So again, hopefully the process is reasonably straightforward. We've worked on this. We've tried to smooth out the kinks and reduce the challenges that companies have in terms of applying and participating in the program. And now Fatou is going to talk a little bit about the eligibility information.
Thank you, Judith. So the eligibility criteria for the program, for both programs, pretty much at step 1, once applying for the either the CleanTech R&D voucher or the Catalyst R&D voucher program, your project work has to be in one of the eligible technology areas. Judith and Mahako have mentioned what the eligible technology areas. If it's the CleanTech area, please apply for that project. If it's a Catalyst, please apply for the technology area. Companies applying must be registered to conduct business in New Jersey at the time of application. And to demonstrate this, we would need a tax clearance certificate from the company listing CSIT. But you would submit this when you come to complete your second part of application. So basically, any company that is registered to do business in New Jersey is eligible to apply as long as you meet the rest of the eligibility criteria. So companies with no more than 25 full-time equivalent employees. So we're calculating under 25 employees on an FTE basis, meaning that they're working 35 hours a week, but this has to be at the time of application. So no more than 25 FTE basis employee at the time of application. And companies applying should have a minimum of 1 FTE, full-time equivalent employee, working 35 hours a week in New Jersey at the time of application, during the review process, and throughout the voucher duration. So for example, if you have one person working part-time 17.5 hours, another person working part-time 17.5 hours on the project, together combined, they will make up 35 hours a week, and that will equivalent to your one full-time employee. And they have to be working in New Jersey. And this is at the time of application, not when you issued the voucher, that's when they come in, but at the time of application, during the review process and throughout the voucher duration. And also a part of the company, 50% or more of the total work of the applicant company's employees, including founders and contractors, must be conducted in New Jersey. So let's say we have a company that have some of their people in another state. 50% of the total company's work and this includes founders, either paid or unpaid, and that goes for all the employee requirements. This can be paid employees or unpaid employees, and this also includes founders. If it's a one person that's taking no pay, working on the project at least 35 hours a week, you are eligible. And 100% of the project work for which this voucher is being sought has to be conducted in New Jersey. So if you are issued a voucher to work, for example, at Rutgers, 100% of that work during the period has to be done at Rutgers. The vouchers, we cannot transfer it to another facility, let's say not like in a different state. We cannot do that. So in terms of the application submission, before CSIT issues the submission code to applicants, you should have been able to obtain a signed approval letter from the participating university, college, or federal lab or nonprofit facility confirming that they are able to do the work. At this time, you should have agreed on the scope of work. They're capable and willing to provide the services. We have an approval letter template that we provide to the facilities. So we should, all applicants are required to get the approval letter from the facility. So these are the eligibility criteria for both the voucher, the CleanTech voucher program, and the Catalyst R&D voucher program. So Mahako will now go through the demonstration of the application portal.
Thanks again, Fatou. So as Judith and Fatou mentioned, there are two parts to the voucher application. The first few slides will highlight the first part, and then I'll touch on the last couple of slides will touch on the second part. So once the application launches on May 2nd at 9 a.m., companies will have the opportunity to jump on the portal. The links will be on the CSIT website, and they can apply for either the CleanTech voucher or the Catalyst voucher. Once you click on the online application link, you will be brought to this page. At any point of the application process, if you get stuck or if you need assistance logging in, you can send an email to either CSIT CleanTech at NJEDA to Fatou, or to the CSIT Catalyst at njeda.com for any Catalyst questions, and they will come to me. So before starting the first part of the application, we really encourage and advise that you start gathering some of the information that you're going to need to upload in the required documents section. We talked about the employee. There's an employee verification information for all employees, really, or personnel that work for the company. These include your W-2s for W-2 employees, 1099s, shareholders agreement, K-1 documents for those that have been recently hired. We accept offer letters, as well as NJWR 30 forms. So just make sure you have these documents for all employees. We also request a current New Jersey tax clearance certificate, and the tax clearance certificate must list CSIT on the document at the time that you submit it to us. If it's not listed, unfortunately, we cannot accept it, and then you'll have to go back and select CSIT. Now, the tax clearance process does take a while. We advise that you go on the taxation website that's provided there, and you start the process as soon as you can. Next slide. Once you log in, you'll be required to create an account, a login with a username and a password for your application. This will allow you to jump back and forth into your application. Again, if you're having any troubles with this, you can send us an email and we will reach out to IT and they will immediately respond back and get you into that portal. So what you're seeing here is really the beginning of part 1 of the voucher application. For the purpose of this webinar, we'll be walking through the round 2 CleanTech voucher application just as an example, but keep in mind that the Catalyst application will ask similar questions. So you must first select which program you want to apply to, and then you provide a brief description of your project. On the next slide, again, we're going to focus on the CleanTech application as an example. You will be asked to provide company information, your company information. Now make sure you insert this information carefully and correctly, especially things like your EIN number. We want to make sure that your EIN number is correct. The last 2 questions I'll just highlight, we asked if your company is self-reported as a self-certified or self-certifies as a woman and or minority owned business. So again, this is basically just your company information. On the next slide, we then ask for, again, primary contact information, name, email address, phone number. We have ethnicity questions, gender, veteran status, and disability status. On the next slide, we asked a series of eligibility questions. Now, this is vital because it will determine whether or not you can really move forward with applying for this particular grant. So the eligibility questions are, does the company have more than 25 full-time employees as calculated on a full-time equivalent basis, 35 hours per week or more at the time of the application? Will 100% of the work for which the voucher is being sought to be conducted in New Jersey? Is 50% or more of the work of the company's employees, including founders and contractors, conducted in New Jersey? And then lastly, for the CleanTech, you're going to be asked, is the R&D project for which the voucher is being sought intended to avoid emissions of or recapture greenhouse gases and or criteria pollutants? So again, depending on how you answer these questions, you will be considered whether you're eligible or ineligible. Now, if you are ineligible based on any particular answer, a message will pop up in red that deems you so, and you will, unfortunately, you will not be eligible. But again, if you have any issues regarding this, you can send us an email and we can assist. On the next slide, this is where you really start the core part of part 1 of the application, which is the project description. We ask you to explain the R&D project and provide a description of the activities, including any relevant equipment needed. We can't stress enough how important this part of the application is. We want you to be thorough when answering these questions. Do not rush. Be as specific as you can in terms of the project description and ideas. This makes it much easier for us to connect your project to any specific facility and or equipment at one of our participating universities, federal or nonprofit labs or maker spaces. So again, the more specific you are, the easier it is to connect your project with that particular facility. So write as much as you can and be as specific as you can. For CleanTech projects, Fatou mentioned that there is a TRL level requirement. So TRL level of between 1 through 7, 1 being basic research, 7 integrated pilot systems demonstration to qualify. So we'll ask, what TRL level are you currently at? And again, the Catalyst application does not do the TRL level, but we will have a similar project description section. In the next slide, after you've completed the project description, there is a legal questionnaire. Again, be very careful when answering about your company's status in regards to any current legal or past legal proceedings. In the next slide, when you reach this page, you have completed part 1 of the 2-part voucher application. A message will pop up. It's not on this particular slide, but a message will pop up that states that you have completed the first part of the application. At this point, as Judith mentioned, in the application process, program officers at CSIT and EDA will receive a message that your part 1 has been completed. CSIT and the facility committee will review the project information and the applicant's preferred facility if they stated a preferred facility in the application. CSIT then directs requests to the relevant facility. The facility contact and applicants review that scope of work. Once agreed upon, the facility rep will issue an approval letter to the applicant. The applicant then emails that approval letter and requests a submission code. Now, once the applicant receives a code from CSIT, they can then log back into the portal and insert that code in this verification code area here on the screen and start part 2 of the application process. So you need that code to move on to part 2 of the application process. Once the applicant receives that code, again, you have 6 weeks to complete part 2 of the application. Within that 6 weeks, the applicant must complete and submit all required documents. So in the next slide, we have a list of required documents that need to be submitted with the application. So again, just a quick overview, a summary of most recent internal payrolls. We use an employee log where you will complete the log with all, again, current employees. We asked, again, you will include everyone from W-2 employees to contractors to shareholders agreement. So we want to make sure that you include everyone that is that works for the company. We, in conjunction with the employee log, we ask for employee verification documents that I've stated earlier. We ask for a tax clearance that I've also stated earlier. And we ask for the approval letter from the participating university, which you would have sent as well once prior to receiving that code. So you also, as well as attaching it in an email to receive the code, you'll also upload that approval letter into the portal. And then you have to sign, you have to sign a CSIT certification. Now you can sign, there is an electronic option to signing the certification, but for those that are not comfortable with that, you are able to download, sign, and mail in the CSIT application certification. And the mail-in information is attached here. You could also email that certification to, application certification round 2, CleanTech Research, or as it, if you are applying for the Catalyst, it would be then Catalyst Research and Development Voucher Program. So you can do electronic signature, you can mail in that certification, or you can email that certification. So again, you make sure you really check off that all of these documents have been uploaded before you complete. And this page shows where you upload those required documents. Again, make sure that all documents have been uploaded for your application to be complete. We know that the tax clearance, again, takes time. If you send us an email that let us know that you are working towards obtaining that tax clearance, we will put that in the record and move forward, but we will need a final tax clearance. And on this last slide, once all the documents are attached, you can now submit the application. Make sure you click the submit button. Sometimes Sometimes applicants have thought that they've clicked the submit button, but they have not, and we do not see a completed application on our end. So make sure you click that submit button. And once you see the screen, you have now completed the voucher application. So I will, on the next slide, we just have the launch date and time and our website where you can you'll be able to find the online application links. And if you have any questions, Fatou is the lead for the CleanTech Voucher Program, and I am the lead for the Catalyst Voucher Program, and you can send us emails if you have any questions.
So thank you, Fatou, and thank you, Mahako, for going over the information about the program. I'd now like to turn to some of the questions that we have in the Q&A area to answer them. So again, there was a question asked about where can I find the asset map? If you go to the CSIT webpage, we will have information on the asset map posted up there under the voucher program, and you'll be able to take a look at the capabilities and the facilities that are currently participating in the program. There was another question that was asking about whether or not Princeton Biolabs may be able to participate in that program. We need to do a little further conversation with the Princeton Biolabs facility to determine whether they meet the facility eligibility requirements to participate in the program. I'd like to mention, because a couple of people have asked, a company can apply for multiple vouchers for multiple projects. A company will have a cap of $25,000, but you might have one project where you're doing something at the facility at Princeton, and that perhaps is only using $10,000, and you might have another piece of an activity that you want to do at Montclair State University, and that's going to take an additional $15,000, so that you can have multiple projects, but there is this cap of $25,000 under a 12-month period. If you are going to be doing separate projects, you are probably going to need to put in separate applications because you're doing different work for different pieces of activity. There was so I hope that answers the question that someone was asking about, if I've got separate and distinct technologies, can I apply for multiple vouchers? I do not believe you need to apply, if it's the same company, for different EIN numbers. There was a question that was being asked about how the funds are supposed to be spent. These are research and development funds where you need to make use of capabilities at a New Jersey university. We have other seed grant programs that CSIT has been running, both a CleanTech seed grant program as well as a Catalyst seed grant program, where you can apply for funds that you use within your company for doing your research and development activity. The R&D voucher program is really intended to allow companies to get access to some unique specialized equipment at New Jersey universities, at New Jersey federal labs, at some nonprofit core labs that are willing to participate in the program, where we know getting access to this equipment would be something that would otherwise be a challenge for a company. It would not be a piece of equipment that you would otherwise be able to purchase yourself. So if you're working in a software development area, conceivably there could be some specialized equipment, some big data, data center activities that a university has that you could get access to if that's required for you as part of developing your activity. But again, this is a program that's trying to link you up with specialized lab facilities in New Jersey to be able to complete your development activity. Someone had asked about the tax clearance link, and we will make sure that that tax clearance link is posted so that you can apply for the tax clearance certificate. As Fatou and Mahako had mentioned, the tax clearance needs to indicate that you're looking for funding from the Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology. When you go on to that tax clearance portal from the New Jersey Department of Treasury, there's going to be a pull down link which will allow you to select which agency you are applying for an incentive from. And in that one, you would indicate Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology. Sometimes people don't click a particular agency, and then we'll get one that will potentially say the Board of Public Utilities or another agency, and we'll have to send that back to you to get the correct tax clearance documentation. Again, someone was asking about where can I see the facilities and the services that they offer. As I said, we have an asset map that is up on the CSIT website. But I also want to mention to you that when we get in a project requirement, you don't necessarily have to know which university facility you think has the capabilities to work with you, because we will try to match you with universities and have you get an opportunity to talk to technical representatives at the university to help define a specific project that makes use for you, that you can make use of their specific capabilities. Okay, so there's another question that
Judith, would you like me to read the questions and you can just answer it one by one, so just to make sure we're not missing everybody. So this one, so I'll start from the bottom. Can we use the voucher to fund engineering oversight and consulting related to R&D by NJEDA University professor, but not necessarily use their lab or facility?
That to me sounds like that is not what this program is intended for. We're trying to get companies to make use of specialized equipment at New Jersey universities. This is not a program where you can hire a faculty member essentially on a consultant basis doing oversight work for your project.
Okay, another question. We have a project in mind, but don't know which university might be best to work with, who might have the best expertise. Is there any help on identifying a partner? Okay,
so again, as we said, when you go in to start filling out your application, write down what your need is. And if you don't know, if you don't have a particular preference for a university that you want to work with, that's fine, because we get together every 2 weeks with our university partners. We discuss the applications, and a different university will indicate if they think they've got the capability to work with you, and then someone from that university or nonprofit lab will reach out to you to discuss your project.
Okay. Is there a list of equipment at the different participating universities and other locations?
So on the asset map, some of the universities have listed detailed lists of equipment. Others just will have a more general description of their capabilities.
How long does it take to get the voucher? Can you explain the process again? We pay the university and then the state gives the voucher?
Okay, so I don't know if we want to go back, Fatou, to the slide that shows the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is going to happen is from step 1 through step 5, that takes as long as it takes based on the negotiations. You fill out your application, however long it takes you to have conversations with the, with the universities. I know sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Could take a month or so to really work out, depending on the company's availability and the university's ability to work out the specific scope of work. Once that is done, the company will sign whatever paperwork is required with the university to be able to access their facilities. They'll work out with the university the appropriate intellectual property agreements. They will then come back in to complete their application under step 6. And once we've got that and we're able to fairly quickly do a completeness review of all the documentation that's required, we will then very quickly, with the closing department, send out the agreement with the company to do the work. Once you do the work with the, with the university and get documentation back to us, we then reimburse based on those expenses.
Yes, and also to add to that, the universities that are listed on the asset map, as Judith mentioned, they are part of the review committee, so they already know that they will be reimbursed. So all they need to see from you is just the voucher approval letter, and they will let you go ahead and do the work. And once that's complete, we have templates that we send out for the project completion report and the invoice details. So once we receive that, we will go ahead and pay the university. So the applicant, again, you do not have to pay anything to the university, just to clarify to that. So this other question, sorry I was late, but my question is there any cost share requirement?
So we have changed the program requirements in round 2 of the CleanTech voucher, and for the Catalyst voucher, there's no cost share required on the part of the small business to participate in this program.
Yeah, so this is just another question on the asset map. Is there a central location where we can see the facilities and the services they offer? So the best place will be the asset map. Can you share the link to the tax form we will need with CSIT on it?
Yes, we will send out the link for the state of New Jersey's tax clearance through the Department of Treasury to fill out that information.
Yeah, and then on the CSIT program page for the Catalyst and the CleanTech, we have already posted a notice of funding document. So you can go ahead and read that. And in the notice of funding document, the link is already included on there. So, hi Judith, I had previously presented during the earlier CSIT grant funding back in March. We are submitting a provisional patent for which could strengthen our application for that round. Can I update? Okay, so this is Judith again. I guess you would connect offline.
Right.
Yeah. So this email invite recommended this program for a startup business, but given requirements for reimbursement of funds spent on R&D, it appears it is more appropriate for long-standing businesses. My interest is in technology development for professional services. Will I be a good candidate for the Catalyst grant?
So if you have a specific need for using some specialized equipment at a New Jersey university, if you're developing, again, software, and there's, let's say, a particular, data center that you need to be able to access to simulate what you're trying to do. It's not something that you can do on your own personal computer. You could conceivably have a need that we have capabilities at New Jersey universities to help you with your R&D project. You do not need to be a long-standing company to be able to participate in this program. You can be self-employed to participate in this program. You just need to have that one full-time equivalent person that Fatou had indicated from the eligibility perspective.
Yes, and you answered the next question. Is self-employed person eligible to apply? Yes. So I am a co-founder on my startup and I work 40 hours per week with and do not draw a salary or income. How can I show eligibility requirements? We have others working on the company, but outside of the one part-time employee, everyone is compensated with equity.
So you can, and I want to, say as a company, you can put on your letterhead, the CEO can sign a documentation indicating that I'm working for the company, I'm not taking salary, this is the number of hours per week I am working, or these are the other people who are working who are not taking any salary. If they have equity agreements, we can take a look at those documentation as well. Someone was asking about posting the Q&As on the FAQ site on our portal, and we are absolutely going to post answers to the Q&A on the portal as well.
Okay.
So you can go back and refer to those answers.
Yes. So I am a Chinese woman. Can I claim as minority woman-owned small business?
If you apply through the state of New Jersey for women and minority-owned certification, although that's not a requirement for this particular program.
Okay. I would like to develop a clean technology. This is my first interaction with CSIT, but it appears that CleanTech is in round 2. Did I miss a first round? Must I do something first prior to initiating my application?
No, so this is just the second round of the R&D voucher program. The first round of the R&D voucher program was slightly different. It had a smaller dollar value that companies could apply for. It required a match on the part of the applicant to participate in the program, and it was a slightly different tri-party agreement that needed to be signed between the applicant, the university, and CSIT. In round 2 of this program, we have increased the value of the vouchers to $25,000. We've extended the time period for using the voucher, and we've eliminated any match requirement as well as simplified the contracting process.
Yes. Can the university partner use the funding to purchase new equipment required for the R&D activity and get reimbursed later?
We'll have to take a look at that. This is, again, a project where we're not looking to help a university set up a core lab facility as to give a small business access to core facilities at the universities.
Okay. What is the indirect rate university have negotiated? Is $25,000 direct or indirect cost?
The $25,000 is what the university is going to be charging for use of their project. Each of the universities has their own cost structure for determining what their rates are for having non-university personnel access their facilities.
Yes, I think those were the questions in the Q&A. Let me just read through the chat. My company is currently registered in New York State. Can I register a new company in New Jersey State and be eligible to apply for the application process?
You do need to be registered in New Jersey to conduct business to be able to be eligible for this program by being able to get a New Jersey tax clearance certificate.
Okay. I thought this was just for startups, but all that's being talked about is technology. Is there another section of this call for other companies?
So we have 2 sections for the R&D Research and Development Voucher Program. We have one which is for companies that are working on technology development in the CleanTech space, which is the CleanTech Voucher Program that Fatou Jobe is managing. And then we have the Catalyst Research and Development Voucher Program that Mahako Etta is managing. We can certainly also make you aware of other programs from New Jersey Economic Development Authority and CSIT, depending on the kind of other incentives that a business might be looking for. But this is for research and development to get access to core facilities at New Jersey universities, federal and nonprofit labs.
Okay. If awarded this voucher, are there tax consequences? Will I have to pay this money back or claim on taxes?
I cannot answer how you need to address your company tax issues.
Yes, I think those were the questions that I see in the Q&A and in the chat. If I missed anything, feel free to just type again in the chat or, yeah.
And we will be posting the answers, written answers to all of these questions as well on the CSIT website.
Okay, so one more question. The New York company can register as a foreign entity doing business in New Jersey. This will satisfy the New Jersey residency requirement and enable the documentation required. A new company does not need to be created. Okay.
I am not sure I understand that question, so we'll take a look at that one offline to be able to adequately answer that question.
Another comment in the chat, I understand the vouchers are used to pay for usage of equipment at the university. If we have engineers who are essential to help develop the prototype, are we able to pay a portion of the voucher? Are we able to use a portion of the vouchers to pay for the engineers, or we are using approved facilities?
Again, this particular program, the R&D voucher program, is to pay for access to specific facilities at New Jersey universities, federal labs, or nonprofit core facilities. It is not to be used, this particular program cannot be used for paying for internal staff of the company.
Yes, and another question on the slides. Yes, the slides will be posted on the CSIT website, both on the Catalyst program page and on the CleanTech program page. And we will also post the FAQs to this. So those were the only questions, Judith.
Great. Well, I really appreciate everyone spending time this morning with us to learn about the CleanTech R&D voucher program and the Catalyst R&D voucher program. As mentioned, the recording and the supporting materials from this session will be publicly available, posted on the CSIT website. And if you have any additional questions, please reach out to us directly at CSIT so that we can answer those questions for you. Thank you and have a good day.